I work as an Uber Eats driver at night to make a little extra cash. Friday and Saturday nights are always the busiest because everyone's either at home or with friends and ordering food. So those were usually the nights I would work. I got a request on Saturday night at 1 a.m. to pick up Popeyes for a guy named Bob. He lived a few minutes away from my current position, so I punched in the nearest Popeyes, which is like a 5-minute drive away, and picked up his order. He wanted a chicken sandwich, and he knew Uber Eats could skip the 2-hour waiting line he'd have to endure if he were to get it himself. He lived like 5 to 10 minutes away from the Popeyes. I followed the app's direction to his house. Eventually, it led me to a short dead-end street that veered off another dead-end street. His house sat right next to a line of trees that ran alongside a highway that was pretty much dead at this hour. Given how late of an hour it was, I didn't want to ring the doorbell. So I called this Bob guy's number. It rang once, then went straight to voicemail. So I hung up, then I got a text from him. He told me to come to the front door, and so I did. I pulled up, and a bald guy opens the door. He didn't look very old. He looked to be in his mid-30s, yet his head was completely bald. I thought maybe he was sick, or just liked that look. So I didn't judge. However, his breath smelled like hot garbage, and he was drunk off his ass. He was also covered in what looked like blood. Something seemed off. The payments were done through the app, so usually there was no need to wait around for the money. But this time this Bob guy asked me to come in for a minute while he ran to fetch a tip. I didn't object to free money, so I waited in his kitchen, which by the way was only lit up by a small outlet-sized nightlight. It was pretty dark in there. The whole kitchen smelt rather disgusting, though I didn't know what it was. Bob was taking a long time down in the basement fetching the tip, so I started to wonder a bit. I stepped into the living room, which was next to the kitchen. The TV was on in there, which was the only reason I could see anything. However, the stench was even greater in this room. Then I noticed the back door slid half open. Maybe he was airing out whatever that foul odor was. For the hell of it, I walked to the back door expecting to get a quick breath of fresh air, but the smell only got worse. Then finally I stepped outside to the man's back deck. I heard the sound of a swarm of flies right by the door. Then I guess a motion sensing light saw my movement and turned on, revealing 2 big black garbage bags stuffed with 2 long objects. The smell was unbearable too. It took me a second to catch on to what I was most likely looking at. Suddenly, waiting around for the tip didn't seem like a good idea anymore. I went back inside and rushed to the front door, and just then I heard Bob emerge from the basement calling to me, waving a few singles in his hand. He saw me as I was about to open the door and asked me where I was going. I had to come up with something, so I said I was just rushing to check if I had something in my car. He said, "Oh, okay," as he came over to me and handed me the bills. Then he turned toward the porch where the light was still on. He then looked back at me with his smile now disappearing. He asked me in a firm voice if I went to his backyard. I told him no. He just stared at me. Then I opened the door and sprinted to the car. However, in a panic, I dropped my keys in between the driver's seat and the gear shift. Bob sees I haven't pulled off yet. He runs back into the house, then comes back out running towards me with a huge machete in his hand. I make every effort to steady my hand and retrieve the keys. Bob then lunges at my car, cracking the windshield with his machete. My heart is racing. I somehow managed to pull it together and grab the keys. As I crank up the car, he jumps on the hood. Bob is yelling at me to get out of the car. I floor it. Once I hit about 30 miles per hour, I slam on the brakes. Bob goes flying backwards. He immediately gets back up, still with machete in his hand. I try to run him over, but he just barely dodges. He runs back inside the house. I drove to the end of the block and called the police, making sure not to leave them any time to dispose of those potentially dead bodies. The cops pulled up literally within 2 minutes. I watched the whole thing go down as I told police where to go. In fact, Bob had already started moving the bags, which did contain 2 dead bodies, to the bushes in his backyard. The cops beat Bob down. And arrested him. The media gave him the name Bob the Butcher. He's still awaiting trial to this day. Everything about this guy was off. From bloodstains on his clothes, to leaving the back door open to reveal dead bodies to an Uber Eats driver. But then again, he also wasn't the smartest guy around.